Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well.
There you go, team. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone, wherever you are tuning in from this morning. A bit nippy up here where I am. Lucky we got the coffee this morning to keep things going along. So let's have a look, team. Who's jumping on this morning? Let me just get some of this tech happening. All right. Grab a quick coffee by your side if you've got one. Maybe a pen, paper, iPad. I'm going to go through some information this morning. I can see a few people jumping on already. So good morning, Roman. Good to see you again. Kevin, always good to see you. Good evening to you over in Florida. If you're jumping online today, guys, give us a shout out in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. It's another Property Management Wednesday Wealth Coffee Chat. If you haven't seen me around, team, my name's Cass, representing the R&W Plus Property Management team, which is a part of that 6-star team, which you saw in the intros there before we kicked on live this morning. Always good to see a few people on. Just warming up this morning, team. Charles online as well. Flying back to Adelaide today. Safe flight to you. Rebecca's on as well. Awesome stuff, team. So this morning's chat for another Property Management Wednesday. It's a little bit about some lessons learned and some takeaways from the Property Summit over the weekend. And hopefully a few of you guys were there. Maybe just drop a yes in the chat for me if you were there at the Property Summit. If you weren't, make sure you book next year. We spent a few days together, not just myself, but obviously Jason, 6-star team, a few key speakers there. We talked all things, property investing, and specifically today for this morning, given it's Property Management Wednesdays, just want to share some insight and some feedback and some lessons learned, some takeaways that I sort of gathered from the property management conversation, not just from the presentation, but just, connecting with you guys was really good to hear some stories in that space. And probably one of the biggest things I learned was that, this thing we call property investing and holding property for a 10, 15 year plus period, whatever that might look like for you. I can see a few more people. Rebecca was there. Awesome. Hope it was great. Charles says yes as well. Good stuff, team. And good morning. Good morning, Alex. Team, lessons learned from that weekend, I think, like I said, having conversations with you guys was, through this holding phase of our property, facing challenges, obstacles, problems, issues, all that sort of stuff. It was kind of normal. I don't think it was anyone I met that hadn't gone through some sort of challenge in any way, shape or form, which is interesting, right? What we did learn, though, was perhaps, having a 6-star team and an A-grade property manager does help influence that outcome, and can help you, push towards those goals you're after. So, what are some of the things I took away? Well, there was an example there I shared where a particular client had purchased a property, 4-bedroom home, up in the northern sort of Moreton Bay region of Queensland, southeast Queensland, Brisbane there, and purchased it for $460,000 in 2016. 5 years later, 2021, things come up. Some of the challenges they might have faced could have been increased holding costs, could have been that they were sick and tired of managing the tenancy. Could have been some other things there as well, right? That might have contributed to that decision to just move the property on. And in 2021, they moved that property on, sold the property there for $523,000. $63,000, uplift, which at the time might seem okay, right? Who wouldn't like $63,000? Here's the thing, team. Today I had a look, prior to the summit, actually, I had a look at what that property might be worth today. And it came up around the $750,000 mark. And even I jumped on realestate.com and, given the market conditions at the moment, it might even be $800,000. But, long story short, what we identified here is that sometimes, depending on who your property manager is, depending on the information that is put in front of you at that particular time, depending who is on your team, can ultimately decide or influence, whether we're giving up on our goals too soon, or whether we can push ahead to that 10, 15-year mark. Because here's the thing, team. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of investors in a lot of different marketplaces. And what I found, a common trend of those investors that have held property for 10, 15 plus years, they've all had success in one way, shape or form, right? Versus what I'm seeing in 2024, given there's increased holding costs, owners, investors, looking to sell and perhaps giving it away too soon, let's say, right? So what are we going to do about it? Well, again, if you were at the summit, we spoke about the idea of an A-grade property manager, right? Who can influence that result for you, help you, obviously they can contribute towards that success. And one of the operational things we found was understanding this cash flow flywheel, right? Now, if anyone remembers what I spoke about with the cash flow flywheel, pop that in the chat for me while I get a screen up here. Let's just see if this is going to work for me this morning. Right, we spoke about the cash flow flywheel. Now, team, just jump in the chat if that is not working on your screen, and let me know. Right, we spoke about the cash flow flywheel, right? Anyone, if for those that were there, maybe Charles, Rebecca, there was 4 parts to the cash flow flywheel. Jump it in the chat there if you remember. But ultimately, what we're looking to do here is to tick the box in each of these 4 pillars, if you like, around the cash flow flywheel. The idea of location rent gap could be as simple as, A-grade property perhaps generate a higher revenue or higher return than maybe a D-grade property, right? Think about the property that's got beach views, right, versus the property in the middle of nowhere where there's lack of infrastructure, right? So we were discussing, given our current portfolio or perhaps what we're looking to buy next, there you go. Yeah, Charles jumped in. Location, awesome. Right, location rent gap, right? We want to understand these 4 pillars of the cash flow flywheel, because what I can tell you, if you're not content or you're not happy or you're not comfortable with where your cash flow is right now, I can tell you it's going to be because one of these parts of the flywheel isn't performing to its potential, right? And so number 1, we've got to understand what this is. The second one was renovation rent gap, right? The third part was market rent gap, right? And the fourth part was the tenant rent gap. Right. And the idea behind the renovation rent gap was essentially, given if in your portfolio right now and you've got an older home, what is your plan? What is your strategy? Does that property meet the demand of today's tenant? Right. That was the conversation we had. If it didn't, right, then what were we going to do about it? Could it be as simple as some cosmetic renovation updates to the property, and I shared a video around that from one of our property managers, right? It could be that conversation, right? So if we've got location rent gap ticked, right? We've bought a property, it's in an awesome location. The property has been renovated now. It's presenting really well. It provides a functional floor plan. It provides a level of security and comfort to our tenant. Then of course, we're going to do pretty well attracting a great tenant. Now, market rent gap is probably the biggest one at the moment that we're seeing some challenges around, right? A lot of owners are being left behind by their property manager, given we're not understanding maybe or not checking the research or the information put in front of us at the moment, right? So this is a big one right now. Market rent gap is the easiest one you guys can fix in your portfolio today, given the vacancy rates are at an all-time low, given there is, a lot of demand, right? In most capital cities, we're getting heaps of people turning up to open homes, right? So given that's the situation, don't be left behind, right? And the last one there is tenant rent gap, right? We spoke about the trend in 2024, given we've got increased living costs and things like that. We had a rule of thumb of 30% income to rent ratio. Now we're seeing that be tested quite a lot, right? And so prospective tenants are coming forward, maybe spending 40, 45%, in some cases 50% of their income pushing towards that rental price, right? What pressure does that put on us as the landlord? G'day, Jeff. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Great to see you over the weekend, mate. Hope you enjoyed the summit. And we got a lot of takeaways there, which is great. So, team, I guess the point of today is challenges are normal, right? When you're holding property, that is okay, right? It's about having a strategy and a team in place to help you through and push through those challenges, right? Kick that hurdle down each and every time. Why? Because we've seen so many times owners selling up or giving up too soon, right? And property management teams are letting them do that, right? Like Jason says, right, buy well, never sell. That's kind of the concept behind today's conversation. So, it's unpacking this cash flow flywheel. If we can understand each of these 4 pillars, and you can tick each box here, and you've got your property position as best you can in these 4 pillars, you're going to put yourself in a better position and not give up too soon, right? You're going to face less challenges because you got a property in a great location. You got a property that the market wants, right? And the market's willing to pay top dollar for. Your marketing, your open homes, your collateral, everything, in terms of your rent review, lease renewal process, everything's on point in that space. You won't occur market rent gap. And of course, given the top 3, you'll be able to attract a better quality tenant, to meet that affordability, which is really good. So, do you guys understand the flywheel? Any questions, pop in the chat there, right? It's about having a good team strategy around it, and I think from the summit, we sort of, put it out there, right? How do I know I've got an A-grade property manager? And it came down to 3 things, right? We basically sort of said, hey, are they committed? 2, can you trust them? And 3, do they care? Right? There were some of the conversations we had and lessons learned from the property summit. Now I've got a question popping in here. Let me just bring this up for us, Roman. Let me just bear with me, team. Hopefully that. Let me know, guys, if you can still see the screen. A question: is leasing through DHA worth considering long time, full time? Potentially, Roman. Yeah, look, potentially, it's a great question. It's probably a few variables to that, and yeah, like you said, maybe we'll take that one offline. But I think it can certainly be worth it in term when it does work. When it does work really well, I think it just comes down to maybe, again, coming back to those 4 pillars. Like where's the property located? What is that tenancy going to look like with DHA? And then comparing that rent on offer, I suppose, to market rent, right? And I think we heard a lot over the weekend about knowing your numbers and assessing it that way. So certainly a great question. I might just pop my email address up there, Roman, across the bottom of the screen. If you want to just drop me a line, we can certainly unpack that a little bit over the next couple of days, which is good. Awesome stuff, team. So, look, we've got more questions. How good. All right, team, let me just bear with me. I'll bring this up. All right, Canberra. Okay, cool. New location. Would it be hard to release if I rent my property up more than CPI? Yeah, look, I know Rebecca in in Canberra, obviously rental increases and things like that, given it's once a year, is based on CPI, not so much market rental growth. So I don't probably have as much intel on the top of my head with the Canberra market. Again, if you want to drop me a line on the email address, we might be able to do some research together and have a look in that. But again, look, if the commentary is that the rental market's changed, that's okay. What I would say is, look, let's find the evidence behind it, right? If we're saying the market's going up 10%, that's great. What evidence have we got behind it? Let's have a look at what CPI is. Let's have a look at what the comparable properties, in that marketplace is, and what that activity looks like. That would be a great place to start, obviously, to make sure you make that right decision moving forward. And like we said, team, your property manager is there to give you the right intel. It needs to be accurate information, but of course, making sure you guys do your research to quantify and qualify that information that's being put in front of you before you make that informed decision, right? So that's your team. Joel, can we please have an RW branch in South Australia? Yeah, maybe one day. I'll need to get some things going to do that for you, Joel. But I do have someone over there that might be able to help you if you need some help, team. So let me know in that space, team. So team, that's it from me today. Just thought I'd share a little bit about what happened at the summit, some of the conversations on stage, and I guess, all the connects I had with all you guys and everyone else that was there at the property summit. It's a fantastic experience. Great stuff. And team, if you didn't get a chance to come, keep an eye out for that announcement next year. I'm sure we'll run it again. Team, that's it for me today. Another Wealth Coffee chat done and dusted. Any questions, emails there. Don't forget, tomorrow, Jason will be back for another episode of Wealth Coffee Chats. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.
Episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.